Hello and welcome to our interview today. My name is Nikki Ong, and today we have Mr. Anthony Griffin. Thank you so much, Anthony, for joining us today on our interview.
Thank
We
you.
both attended UC Riverside as undergrads 20 plus years ago as business majors. And now you own your own consulting company, Saga Consulting, in Tokyo, Japan. But this wasn't something you did overnight. Everyone viewing this interview today, I'm sure you guys can relate to doing something completely new, imagining how scary it is to start, whether it's starting a new career, a new job, or cooking for the first time. New experiences can be extremely scary. Anthony, I recall when I was on your LinkedIn, I saw that you had moved to Tokyo, Japan, and you started working there teaching English and business. My initial reaction when I saw that was, wow, I can't believe that Anthony had, it just took a lot of guts, I imagine, and some risks were involved when you took that leap of faith in yourself, and you moved from Riverside, California,
Yeah,
7,000 miles away. That's 11,000 kilometers to
that's right.
Tokyo, Japan, to start a new life, a new career. And it's just, your story is really amazing. You completely jumped into another country, another culture. And some would say that the American culture and the Japanese culture is almost the opposite. And then when I was reading your blogs and looking at some of the interviews you've done in the past, I saw that you kind of mentioned that it was sort of a destiny. Can you tell us more about your childhood in the 80s and how it shaped and how it shaped you and how it led you to be where you are today?
Sure. And first of all, thank you again for having me and thank you for your time. And it is great to be here. And regarding your question, so only in hindsight do I really feel that it's destiny to come here. When people ask me why did I come to Japan and I look at my past almost 43 years of life, it if there's one thing, it has to do with, I guess, my age and where I grew up. So I grew up, like you said, in the 80s, early 90s in Southern California, around in Riverside. And during that time, that was what we call the bubble jidai in Japanese, or the bubble era or generation. And that's when, basically Japan, everyone thought Japan was going to dominate the world economically. So that was a source of conflict in the Midwest and around Detroit, of course. But in California, it was just exciting. So, in summary, everything interesting or cool or good in my life was coming from Japan, be it, video games, animation, cars, electronics, design. It was just so new and fresh. So I was fascinated with it. I was open to it. Eventually at UCR, where we met, of course, we were studying business, but we had to take that foreign language requirement for 1 year, and I chose Japanese, and I learned that with a lot of effort, I could actually start learning this language. So fast forward, I went to work, I went to graduate school, finally landed a job, a marketing job with the city of Riverside. And then I could start vacationing here in Japan. And after the second trip, I didn't want to go back to the United States. So you had mentioned that it's brave to go to a new world or a new country, but for me, it was a process. And I have to give a lot of credit to my friends and family because I think they recognize that I belong here more than I did. I'm very risk averse. I didn't have any dreams of traveling the world, but they saw my reactions, they saw my passion, and yeah, friends, family, and even a professor all encouraged me to give this a try. So I gave it a try for what I thought would be 1 year, but that turned into 13. So that's how it all happened.
Yes, I saw that one of the first things that you did was taught business classes and English classes. Tell me what you learned during this time and what was most impactful to where you are today.
Sure, sure. So some background around that. In order to come to Japan is very difficult, almost impossible. It's not a very open country for immigration. So it would have been nice if I could continue my marketing role and come on over, but I had to do a career pivot to something that was more in demand from non-Japanese workers. And that happened to be teaching English and business English. So I had teaching experience teaching business at UCR when I was getting my MBA there. And I said, okay, I can teach. This company is willing to put me in Shinjuku, Tokyo, one of the business districts. And I'm going to be working with, I think at the time, almost, 200 business people. That's how many people attended this private institution. So I came over there, started teaching English and business English, and eventually within a year, I was designing the business curriculum. I was doing a little marketing and copywriting to attract students there. I was helping bringing in new employees. So although it was very similar to, I would say, a retail environment, I learned a lot about just working in Japan. And I also learned about endurance because the schedule was pretty grueling. We had to teach 7, sometimes 8 classes in a day, every day. But I just learned so much about Japanese business people, how to work, how to be professional in Japan. And honestly, I made some great business connections, and at least a couple of them, 10, 12, 13 years later, actually became clients later on. So it was a pretty amazing way to get started here.
Right, definitely. You're definitely very personal and trustworthy type of person. So I do see that's really
Thank you.
neat that, 13 years later, you're working with them on the consulting side.
Thank you.
That's great. So you've held so many more positions since you're teaching your initial job in Japan, in Tokyo. Can you tell me a little bit more of your experiences at American Chamber of Commerce in Japan?
Certainly, sure. So to take a step back, first, after working at the English company, after about 2 years, I was promoted to the head office there, which was an excellent experience there. I got dispatched to some of the world's biggest brands to deliver business English and coaching training. And 2 years after that, I got another little promotion where I could start training people inside the company and, passing on the company's branding and policies and things like that, designing curriculums. But eventually that led to somewhat of a glass ceiling, not in a malicious way. It's just Japan isn't a country that really knows what to do with foreign employees for the most part. And so I saw that coming and started looking for other opportunities. I thought I might come home at this time, or come home to America at this time. I think this was about 6 years in total. But then fortunately, I came across a job at the American Chamber of Commerce, which was very similar to the marketing work I was doing in the United States beforehand. So that started as actually a freelance position. And essentially, they were my biggest client. They became too big and there was too much work to be done. And so after 6 months, that became a full-time marketing manager position. So
Wow.
that was an amazing experience. Within 7 years of living and working in Japan, I was working on projects that involved the government, the prime minister, ambassador at the time, Caroline Kennedy. So, it was simply amazing, simply amazing.
Great, great. And then from there, you went to become a lecturer at NYU.
Yes, actually, that was just something I did on the side for fun.
Oh, okay.
So by that time, I had already launched Saga Consulting, which is a sole proprietorship. So it's just me with contract workers whenever necessary. And I like teaching. I love teaching, as you can see in
Natural.
my yeah, as you can see in my resume. And New York University was trying to enter the Tokyo market and provide that experience here in Tokyo. And they were looking for instructors for marketing and marketing strategy. And I like teaching, I like marketing. So I would actually do that on my Saturdays, just
Oh,
to have fun teaching and, of course, earn a little extra income. But that also was a great networking opportunity. I could meet aspiring entrepreneurs, people working for, again, some of the biggest brands, and keep in touch, learn about their businesses, but also share, marketing tips and guidance and that whole Western marketing education experience. So that's what that was all about.
very neat.
Okay.
So, Anthony, which would you say of these experiences would you say has been the most impactful to your Saga Consulting business today, and why?
That's an excellent question. And this answer might sound like cheating, but they all have been beneficial to this business because my business has two parts. So there's the marketing consulting side, which is similar to what you do out there in California. But there's also a communications consulting side, which is unique to the Japanese market because we have a lot of talented managers and executives who are fluent in English. However, they've only done business in what I call a J to J environment, Japan to Japan. And with, Japan's population shrinking, the labor force being tight, more of these companies have to interact with America and countries around the globe. So I do have a consulting side of that business where we train on Western meetings, networking, LinkedIn usage, for business email writing, all kinds of topics. And the idea for that came right out of my experience with Eon, the business English company or the English company, as well as, the marketing side, which came from the American Chamber of Commerce and my efforts at the city of Riverside. So everything I do has brought me to where I am today.
Wonderful. So I want to take this to your clients and what you do today. So just to kind of understand your business more, what are the main pain points and I guess solutions your clients are looking for when they come to you and your business?
Well, a lot of it, as I mentioned, is similar to what you're doing. So, except there's an international twist. So, in summary, I help Japanese firms communicate or market to the outside world. So that usually takes the form of content marketing. So I do a lot of writing, writing work, which you probably have seen on LinkedIn and on my blog. That also takes the form of social media management, focusing on English speaking countries. I'm right now I'm doubling down on LinkedIn. That's like my primary platform. And it's also the platform that is most mysterious to Japanese clients. So that's where
Hmm.
I tend to add value. And then finally, as mentioned, I also offer those communication coaching services for executives and managers who want to give Western style presentations or figure out how to network on their next business trip or just are struggling with different cultures outside of Japan.
Very neat. Very neat. I love
Thank
it.
you.
So what tips, and just looking at overall your experiences, well, I guess before I ask that question, do you have anything else that you want to cover in terms of you and your business and your offerings that we haven't covered?
Your questions are very thorough and very detailed. So I think I've covered everything. Looking forward, I do, I love Japan, but I also love the US as well, especially the West Coast, because that's where I'm from. So in the future, I am trying to collaborate more with, companies in America. I'm hoping you and I can collaborate sometime. But my big mission that's I haven't fully figured out, but it's much bigger than me, is really being this bridge between Japan and especially the US, but anywhere in the world where people speak English. And I want to be able to help any Japanese company that's struggling to market or start a business abroad. So going forward, I'm hoping to do more business in the United States.
There, just for you to have done all this, I know you had mentioned it wasn't so brave because it was kind of this, the series of events that led you there to Japan. But I was thinking there is something else that is a driving force for you to do all this, which is really neat.
Well, part of that I didn't realize till I got here. So, for example, if I had stuck to my original plan of just staying here 1 year, I don't think I would have this vision. But really, what motivates me is, I'm really grateful for Japan and my existence here. Of course, there are challenges, there are hardships, but overall, I'm very privileged to be able to live in another country, to run, start a business in another country, and to learn another culture and another language. It's like I've been given a second life on top of my existence in America, and I'm truly grateful for that. So that's where that big idea comes from. I want to contribute back to Japan, and I believe that means helping Japan do business abroad, because we have a shrinking population here. Again, we have a very tight labor market. So any company that wants to grow, especially if they're publicly traded, they've got to grow somehow, and they can only grow outward. And I want Japan to be successful. I don't want the country to, become irrelevant on the global stage. So that's part of the big picture. Admittedly, I'm a very small part of that, but I do hope to grow and contribute more and more.
No,
So that's the
great.
big picture.
Yeah, I love it. And so my next question is more of, if someone were to look to do something as you did, to go to a foreign country and to start a new life, a new career, what tips would you give?
Well, if you're adventurous, just go do it. If you're like me, if you're introverted and reserved and risk averse, then I recommend trying it out. So one thing that really got me here again were those 2 vacations. I came here in 2007 for 10 days. Then I came again in 2008 for 10 days. And then only after that did I really think I would be comfortable here. It built confidence. So a lot of people look at this issue of doing something big as black and white. It's or on or off, or yes or no, but it's not like that. There's a lot of things you can try. And, if you're thinking of going to another country, and I highly recommend not just checking out Japan, but any country you're interested in, take some trips out there, but don't necessarily be a tourist. One of the things that got me into Japan is my friend and I, we came out here and we weren't touristy. We would go to, bars or different places, public places, and talk to people and engage in with people. We made connections. We collected business cards. We had, people here that we could come back and see again. And that gave me a sense of what it would be like to live here, what it's like to maybe even conduct a little business here. So the answer to your question is make a plan to try and experiment in steps. And if you do that, it's going to feel like a natural transition, and it's not going to feel like a big shock.
Right. That's great. That's a great tip. We're going to have to visit you in Japan like someday.
Please, definitely. I'd love to show you around, and I guarantee that you will have a good time here.
Yes. We have to see Godzilla. Naruto
Oh,
World, and there was something else. Is there like a My Hero Academia thing? I don't know, but my kids are really into it.
I'm not sure yet, but they're probably pretty much anything you could imagine from pop culture is here. Now, Godzilla, he's right down the street over in Shinjuku, so he's waiting for you right now. He's on top of the movie theater that I often go to. So,
That's so
uh,
cool. I did see that.
yeah, he's right there waiting for you. Definitely, definitely.
Awesome. So in closing here, thank you so much, Anthony.
Sure.
You are just, I mean, you told me before we had this call that you have, you lead quite a busy and exciting life. What do you do to,
Busy, busy.
yes.
Exciting, I don't know, but busy. But sorry.
So what do you do for fun and to relax?
My favorite thing to do right now, and this started, I wouldn't say it started, but it really picked up during the pandemic. And that is long distance cycling through Tokyo and around Tokyo. So, when I'm in peak shape, I can do about 80 to 100 kilometers on one ride in a day. And, again, during the pandemic, it was a great,
Wow,
safe
that's a
way to,
lot.
oh, thank
I
you.
was doing the calculations. I had to flip it to miles.
Sorry, I switched to
No, that's
kilometers.
yeah, no.
If anyone watching this video, just bring up some Google to translate that.
Yeah.
And I built up to that. But yeah, during the pandemic, I thought it was a good, safe way to stay healthy while being distant. But it really just turned into an amazing way, not only to stay fit, but just to experience and see not only Tokyo, but the surrounding countryside and the communities out there. And it became, again, when I'm not overdoing it and getting injured, it became a weekly habit. Sunday would be cycling day, and I just go
Wow.
out as far as I can. You see, beautiful fields, mountains, the ocean. People say hi to you and talk to you, and it's just, yeah, it's the number one way I like to spend my free time right now.
Oh, that's so cool. Very
Thank you.
cool. Well, wonderful. I think is there anything else you want to cover that we didn't?
Again, I thought you had some great questions. You were very thorough. So I just want to say we've been talking about me, but I'm incredibly impressed with what you've done. We're reconnecting after all these years, and I did my homework about what you've been up to with Slick Marketers, and you have a team, a nice place in Southern California, and that's just incredible. Looking back at where we started at UCR, and you also are living the dream. So I do want to take a moment to acknowledge your success. And
Oh,
again, I hope I can visit the office and stop by.
yes, yes.